Hello everyone and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Brooke Steach, joined by Logan, Bourandas, and Fenstermaker. And tonight we're bringing you a quick preview on which Big Ten teams will survive and advance in the upcoming NCAA tournament. While March Madness was canceled last year due to COVID-19, the Big Ten's got 9 teams dancing this year, more than any conference in basketball. With that being said, Logan, which Big Ten team do you think has the best odds to make it to the championship game this year?
You know, Eric, this might be a surprise to you, but I'm going with Purdue here. They're a 4 seed in the March Madness tournament, but I love how this team is built. Travion Williams is their big man, and he's been able to battle with any other big man like Kofi Cockburn, Hunter Dickinson in the Big Ten. And they're one of the more well-rounded rosters this Boilermaker team is. They also have Jaden Ivey, their young guard. He had a really good end in the second half to that year, but Purdue, they finished in 4th place in the Big Ten, and although they lost in their first game in the Big Ten tournament, I like the way this team's positioned to start out the tournament. They're in a bracket where Baylor's the number 1 seed, and I don't really like Baylor in the tournament just because of how they finished out the regular season and in their tournament. They lost to Oklahoma State in that tournament, but they also have Ohio State, and if you don't know, the Boilermakers before the Big Ten tournament, they beat Ohio State twice in the regular season, so they could definitely get past Ohio State. Then Arkansas at 3. The SEC was kind of weak this year, and the Razorbacks didn't even make it to the SEC championship game where they lost to LSU. So I like the potential that Purdue has in the March Madness tournament this year. So I could definitely see them going far, maybe to the Sweet 16, Elite 8 range, possibly further. But I like the potential this team has.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Purdue's a great team, but I have to go with the Fighting Illini here. They're actually my pick to win it all. The Fighting Illini are led by 2 guys, Ayoade Asumu and Kofi Cockburn. They're the real reason why this team is shining. When you look at the entire field, they're 8th in scoring of the entire NCAA field. That's an incredible thing. They're second only to Iowa in the Big Ten, and it's largely a part of this guy, Ayoade Asumu. He's one of the best guards I've ever seen. His ability to distribute, to score, he is a leader and a dynamic elite playmaker for this Illinois team. Kofi Cockburn, everybody wants to talk about Luka Garza. He is one of the biggest playmakers in the Big Ten and in the entire country. I think he's going to be a real catalyst for this offense. Illinois has won 14 of their last 15 games. If you don't count the Michigan State loss in February, they haven't lost since January. This Illinois team is rolling. I don't like Houston as a 2 seed. I think West Virginia as a 3 seed has the potential to slip up a bit. So I think that this Illinois team can really make noise both in their region and in the tournament.
I'm also having to go with Illinois going the farthest in the tournament for the Big Ten, as the team locked its first number 1 seed since 2005. Moving forward, Eric, which Big Ten team do you see leaving Indy a little earlier than expected?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to have to go with Michigan, the other number 1 seed on the opposite side of the bracket. For me, it's all about what you're doing right now. Michigan has lost 3 of its last 5 games. They're without their big player, Isaiah Livers. He's not going to be in there for a big period of time. And even if against at home just 1 game, I think that's enough to cause them to slip up. They're playing a St. Bonaventure team, hopefully, if they beat LSU, who I think can give Michigan a run for their money. Michigan does not have a leading scorer averaging over 15 points per game, which is shocking for a team that's a number 1 seed overall. Michigan has slipped up towards the end of its season. It started off great, but I think this late season slide will be enough for Michigan to have an early exit to St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wisconsin here. They struggled a lot towards the end of the season and in the Big Ten tournament. Penn State gave them a scare in that second round, but they got smoked by Iowa in the third round. But Wisconsin, they've never been a team that's beaten a top 5 team in the Big Ten. They went winless against those top 5 teams, of course, Wisconsin being the 6th best team in the Big Ten. But they do have two good players on the Badgers, Demetric Trice and Micah Potter, the only 2 players on the Badgers scoring in double digits this season. But where Wisconsin kind of struggles for me to put them far in the tournament is their seeding in the tournament. They're a 9 seed right now, and they would play 8 seed at North Carolina in that first round. And that's a really bad matchup for them. North Carolina, very experienced roster, and they've been to the tournament before. So even if they were to win that, there's Baylor waiting for them. So Wisconsin, it's going to be tough for them to really get out of that second round and make it to the Sweet 16. So Wisconsin could be a team that sees an early exit in the tournament.
With that being said, Logan, is there a lower-seeded Big Ten team that can go on a Cinderella run here?
Yeah, I think Rutgers can definitely do that. They're a 10 seed right now in the March Madness tournament, and they have a favorable matchup against Clemson in that first round, in the 7-10 matchup, where Clemson, they struggled in the ACC tournament a little bit. They got upset by Miami, so they're on a little bit of a downswing early on. But Rutgers, they're a really good defensive program, one of the better defensive teams in the Big Ten. Remember, they held Michigan State to 37 points earlier on in the regular season, and Rutgers, they had a couple key wins against Indiana, both in the Big Ten tournament and the regular season, that kind of saved their season, got them to this point. But they matched up against Clemson in that first round, and if they were to get to the second round, they would play against number 2 Houston, who they only have one really good win in the regular season. That comes against Texas Tech. They're not really battle-tested like Rutgers is, as they've played in the Big Ten, which is basically playing a ranked team every single night. So I like Rutgers to potentially make the Sweet 16. I don't know about further, but I can definitely see them as a 10 seed making a strong run to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that Rutgers versus Houston matchup would be a pretty good one if it does occur. I'm going to go with Michigan State. I mean, you want to talk about surprises. They might be the biggest question mark team in this tournament. In their last 7 games, they have 3 wins against top 5 teams. But in the Big Ten tournament, first round exit against Maryland. So this Michigan State team led by Tom Izzo, they have Aaron Henry, who's averaging over 15 points per game. So they have that superstar on their roster. But I'm not quite sure what this Michigan State team has in the tank. They're playing UCLA in a play-in game. I think they'll get past them. Then they go up against BYU. BYU, a 6 seed, maybe not the team people expect to go very far, but they did give Gonzaga a scare. So I think Michigan State is a tough match against BYU. They'll get past BYU there, but I think against Texas, that'll be just too much for Michigan State. Although if you're looking for a Cinderella, the Spartans and Tom Izzo could be that team.
We'll have to wait and see which Big Ten teams strike lightning in a bottle in March Madness this year. For Logan Bourandas and Eric Fenstermaker, I'm Brooke Steach. Thanks for watching and have a great night.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.